Hi, it's Katie. It has been a few weeks since I recorded my last video. I have yet to post it, and we'll see if um, I end up actually posting anything. You might have noticed I have slightly different glasses on. They're technically not new, however, they are my new pair. They were my spare pair. Because the ones that I was wearing before, even though I like the shape of the other ones better, I feel like they complement my face better. And they were like really, really, really scratched. Like I couldn't see like anything out of them anymore. So I decided that I'm just having a little bit of an afternoon, well, evening really. It's 7 p.m. currently. I'm just having a coffee, just relaxing a little bit before I get settled and do some work for the night. I am a night owl. I definitely work better in the evenings. And I've got some presentations I need to work on for my course. However, I did just finish reading this Brooklyn House Magician's Manual, and I thought I would do like a little like review, um, yeah, and just talk about how I found it. I won't lie, like this for some reason was really, really difficult for me to get through. Out of probably all like the Rick Riordan spin-offs, it was probably like the hardest for me to get through. It really put me in a bit of a slump. I think it's taken me like a few weeks. I think Demigods and Magicians, which was the book that I was reading at the time of filming my last video. I really, really enjoyed that. That was a really fun mash of the Percy Jackson and Kane Chronicles universes. It was really fun to see Annabeth and Sadie interact and Carter and Percy interact. I used to think that Percy was a bit out of character sometimes. I remember when I first read Heroes of Olympus, I thought, Percy seems a little bit out of character, but then I realized that Percy actually just seems out of character whenever we're not in his POV, because I realized, which is really quite funny, that from everybody else's point of view, Percy is like a badass and everyone's like terrified of him, and it's like, oh my god, like this like extremely powerful like person who I don't know if they're on my side or not, like maybe they'll try and kill me. But on the inside, Percy just thinks of himself as like a complete dork, and it's really funny to see that mismatch, because when you're reading from his point of view, he's absolutely hilarious, full of sarcasm. You know that he's like the sweetest boy on earth, the probably the best like fictional male boyfriend out there. But obviously, like to see that contrast, like from people's point of view, it was nice to see him from like Carter's point of view and how like intimidating he found him initially before they became friends. That was a really good book. I don't know. I struggle with. I guess I partly struggle with this because it was like a lot of like a lot of it was quizzes and puzzles, and a lot of these like side books that Rick Riordan publishes are like that. But this one was like probably like 70% like that, and I just found it like tedious because whenever a book it's like more of like a workbook, it's like I guess this is more of a me thing because I'm really, really busy, but I don't really have a lot of downtime. Like I often read books like while I'm waiting for like my lunch to cook. Like on the weekend, which is one of the few times where I cook. And I'm waiting for my lunch to be done, or I'm letting something simmer, or I've put something in the oven. Like that's on often like when I read, or like after dinner, like after I eat lunch, I just relax for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I'll read a bit of a book, but I might also fall asleep. And when you're that busy, then it's kind of like, it's kind of like, you know what I mean? It was kind of giving like kids' lunch menu at Frankie's and Benny's. That's really like oddly specific. But that's kind of like how I felt. Um, yeah, honestly, I guess the thing with Kane Chronicles, which is honestly like my fault because of how the way that I read them. The thing is, sorry, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I read them in a weird order because I read the Red Pyramid and Throne of Fire, and then I read House of Hades because wait, did I read House of Hades? Yeah, or Blood of Olympus. Which one did I? Oh no, I read both of them. I've actually forgotten. Basically, like, yeah, I think I read House of Hades and Blood of Olympus, and then I went back to the Kane Chronicles. So basically, like, I was very confused. Just thinking if that's right. Is that how I read them or not? I think that is how I read them. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Definitely. So basically, I remember that I definitely took a break between, because what's going on is I'm basically sharing these copies of these books with my 12-year-old cousin, because she is getting into it at an age appropriate age and I'm not. Just when I saw her reading it, like I was like, okay, like maybe I should get into this. And it was quite fun for us to share copies. It's fun for us to we like mail the copies to each other. Basically, when I started reading it, she was on Son of Neptune, but I caught up really, really quickly because, yeah, I caught up like way quicker than I thought I was going to. And basically, we then hit like a brick wall where she was reading House of Hades and I just finished Mark of Athena, and I didn't really want to buy my own copies. Like, it took the fun out of it. So I was like, okay, I'll read Kane Chronicles instead. I took a detour, but then she finished House of Hades, and then I was able to read that and continue with the Heroes of Olympus series. And once I finished Heroes of Olympus, I was like, okay, rather than continuing with Trials of Apollo, I'm going to take a little detour and go back to the Kane Chronicles, because I wanted to read Demigods and Magicians, because I know that that is set before Trials of Apollo in the Percy Jackson slash King slash Camp Half-Blood Chronicles part of the Ridenverse. So that's what I've done. So now that I've finished this, I am actually really excited because I'm going to start the Hidden Oracle. And I know that this is a bit controversial because I know that the Trials of Apollo are generally like the least liked out of the 3 Camp Half-Blood Chronicles book series. But I am really looking forward to it because I really like Apollo's character. I think he's the funniest character in the original Percy Jackson series, and I just like him in mythology generally. I think he's such a, I don't know, does this get me demonetized? I don't really know, but like I'm not making money from YouTube now right now anyway because I've literally not uploaded anything. But he is such a petty little bitch. It's actually hilarious. Um, he's just a mood. Apollo is just a mood, and I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic and absolutely really, really fun to be in his head. So there we go. I guess I didn't really actually talk much about this. I kind of just talked about like things around it and my thoughts about the Ridenverse and how I felt about going into the Charles of Apollo books. But I did kind of mention it. I just went on a tangent and I realized I never actually finished my point. So my point was that um I have ADHD, guys, be nice to me. My point was that I did that little detour with Heroes of Olympus, and therefore when I went back to the Kane Chronicles, everything was a little bit fuzzy, like everything was disconnected and I couldn't really remember what happened in the first 2 books. I was kind of like having I I am one of the few people who actually really, really love Blood of Olympus. Like I know that it's generally like one of the most hated Rick Riordan books, but like I actually really loved it. I thought it was one of the best of the Heroes of Olympus books. I know that the ending was a little bit anticlimactic, but honestly, like it didn't really bother me that much. I thought it was okay. Spoilers. I'm gonna be like vague, but I thought it was like really poetic how it was Piper, Leo, and Jason who were really responsible for um defeating the main villain, let's say, because they were the trio that was present in The Lost Hero, so they were kind of like the bookends of the series. And even though, okay, I guess it could have, like, the battle sequence and things could have lasted a bit longer, I maybe it was a little bit rushed, but however, I do think that everything that happened was fine. Like, I didn't have a problem with anything that happened. I thought it was fine. So that's my thoughts on that. Um, so I had my point mentioning that I need to get back to the point was that I had like a little bit of a hangover. Like after I finished Blood of Olympus, I was like very like Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, Camp Half-Blood Chronicles, and then to go back into Kane Chronicles was a little bit difficult for me. But overall, the Kane Chronicles were really, really good. I will say, like, I don't know how I feel about. Again, I'm not going to put a spoiler, but like to those who know, I'm going to say I am at once mystified and yet have a tremendous respect for Rick Riordan for introducing a love triangle, which is a trope that is used in many, many, many young adult books. and solving it or solving it in the way that he did, which is a little bit problematic. It's a little bit weird. It's a little bit like, why did he put this in a children's book? But also, I kind of really respect him for it. And I kind of think, like, Sadie, you absolute queen. You get the best of both worlds. All right, I'm gonna say the spoiler now. So from now till about 10 seconds, like, don't listen to it. But what he basically does to solve this is he basically makes the two love interests fuse into one person. Like, they are the same two people occupying one body, and then they just get together with the girl. Okay, you can come back now. You can come back now, so that's in the spoilers. Right, I'm done with this video. This was a little bit chaotic. I would say much more than the other one. I don't know if I'm going to end up posting this one, but we'll see.